Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope wherever you guys may be across this great nation, across this great land, that you are having a fantastic Wednesday. We're about to have the Braves in Game 5, the Dodgers in Game 5, the two big events going on tonight in the world of sports. Get to that in a minute. First, want to thank Fox News for having me on to talk about the NBA China issue about an hour ago. Hope some of you were able to check that out. It's good. I also did Sky News yesterday, which I'm told is the biggest sports in all of, or the biggest news, or one of the biggest news agencies in England. I thought that went pretty well. I don't know how many of you saw the Fox News hit. At some point, hopefully I'll grab the video. It was only on for like 3 minutes. That was a short hit. But I appreciate all the feedback. It's all been uniformly positive. You can let me know how I did in the comments here, but I thought it went pretty well. All right, couple different things that I'm going to hit here, obviously. This is the NBA's ongoing mess with China has accelerated now to, as we speak, the Chinese are pulling down all the banners advertising the preseason games featuring LeBron James and the LA Lakers and the Nets. They are pulling down all of these different banners. The NBA remains silent on this, all right? So because I have impeccable judgment, I'm going to give Adam Silver advice for what I would tell the NBA commissioner to do as he tries to determine how to respond to this crisis. Get your teams and your people out of China and announce that you will not do business with China based on the way they have responded to a single tweet. Take the high ground here from a moral perspective. Paint China into a corner. I'm not an expert in Chinese diplomacy. I certainly am not an expert in Chinese sports fans. But I believe sports fans around the world have one thing in common beyond anything else. They want to watch their favorite teams play. And if there are, in fact, a lot of teams and individuals in China who are big NBA fans, then if the NBA leaves and they announce, look, I understand that China is a different country than the United States, but we are not going to subvert our American ideals in order to do business with China. And China telling us what our executives can tweet from their personal Twitter accounts about their own beliefs in the world on any number of issues is frankly unacceptable to the NBA as an American-based corporation. That is the play that the NBA should establish right here and now. It would make Adam Silver actually look like he has a backbone after he has been bending in whatever direction China has demanded for the past several days. It's simple. It's an easy solution. We are an American company. You are not going to dictate to an American company where First Amendment law guarantees our citizens the right to have opinions on political issues what they can and cannot tweet as a precondition of us doing business with you. If that's an unacceptable condition for China, then we will not do business with China and we'll allow the countries that are willing to do business with us to carry NBA games. Because I think Adam Silver has a better hand than he's played so far. Don't focus right now on small-time money in the grand scheme of things. Think about the precedent that you're setting on this relationship for years to come. The NBA is unlike other American businesses, which may not have other options than to work with China. For instance, if you are Disney, Disney has to get its Marvel movies into Chinese theaters. They don't have an option to do something else. They can't necessarily just take those films and not release them because otherwise they will get pirated. I suppose the NBA could be afraid that China will allow all of its games to be pirated in the country, and maybe that's the Chinese response. Okay, we won't pay you for the rights to your NBA product. We'll just allow all of your games to be pirated and you'll make no money. Maybe that's the trump card that ultimately China has in this relationship. But right now, if I'm Adam Silver, I respond, threaten to take my games, pull my team out of China, and make China look ridiculous because of what they have unspooled over one tweet. Now, I do think this is intriguing. Can you think of a more expensive tweet that has ever existed than Daryl Morey's opinion on Hong Kong democracy? I can't think. I mean, I know Elon Musk tweeted about the fact that he had a $420 offer to take Tesla private, and that ended up being a huge mess. We've had situations where Roseanne lost her show over a tweet. We have certainly had a variety of different Donald Trump tweets that have moved the stock market because of the immediate reaction to whatever he has said. But in terms of a one tweet scuttling a massive global deal, it's possible that Daryl Morey's tweet is more expensive than any tweet that has ever been sent in the history of Twitter. And so that is worth keeping in mind here. Daryl Morey didn't necessarily need to send this tweet. And I certainly think if China is in the business of going through high-level executive tweets and policing their political opinions, that the NBA needs to push back against this. But it's also another indication that the dangers and perils of tweeting are more significant than the positive outcome. In other words, Daryl Morey's tweet, while you may agree with it, isn't going to change the overall policy of America towards China. He's not that influential. And so, in the grand scheme of things, he didn't have that much to gain from sending that tweet, and he had a lot to lose. Now, that doesn't mean that I think the NBA should discipline him in any way. They shouldn't. They should stand up for his right as an American to have whatever political opinion he wants. But I do think it's amazing to think about the overall financial impact of that one tweet. Now, here's what's also problematic and happening in our country right now. There is a report that a husband and wife went to the Philadelphia 76ers game on Tuesday night against a Chinese team, and they chanted and had a sign that said "Free Hong Kong." This is in America, in Philadelphia, where our Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution found full fruition. And this man and this woman there saying "Free Hong Kong" were kicked out of the arena for saying "Free Hong Kong" at an NBA game. Now, this is pretty wild to think about in the grand scheme of things, because I've never heard of this happening. First of all, most people don't go to to make political statements at games, but for a husband and a wife to go and chant "Free Hong Kong" during a free throw, and for them to get kicked out of the arena based on that is pretty wild. That is insane. And so I'm curious whether the NBA has now given a directive to arena staff that they will even enforce a restrictive covenant in the United States of America upon what fans can say, because Chinese people in positions of power might actually be offended. This is past time for the NBA to show a backbone here. If you're an American sports fan, the idea that somebody could be kicked out of an arena because they are saying "Free Hong Kong" is pretty wild. I don't know what the overall outcome going forward will be, but I saw where people are already tweeting what happens if they show up with "Free Hong Kong" signs at College Gameday, for instance. Do they get confiscated? Are they allowed to have those? I don't know, but the NBA has got a big mess on its hands right now, and I don't know exactly what the solution is going to be. It's ongoing, and it's a mess. And somebody just said, what if an entire arena chants it? I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do, but the NBA has got a global calamity on its hands, which has been predicated by it deciding to be an incredibly woke organization. All right. I think I talked on this show or one of the shows about Baker Mayfield allegedly not shaking hands with Richard Sherman. I know I talked about it on my radio show yesterday. Turns out Richard Sherman wasn't being truthful there. And the reality is Baker Mayfield actually shook his hand. I want to say to Baker Mayfield, apologies to you for the fact that this story went so viral and it wasn't true. To his credit, Baker Mayfield said something along the lines of, "This is the first time there's been video evidence that actually helped me as opposed to hurt me." And I hope he was making a joke about when he got arrested for trying to flee from police in Arkansas, and also when he got caught grabbing his groin during the Kansas game, and also when he got caught giving the throat slash gesture during the game against Georgia in the college football playoff. But I thought that was pretty funny of a response. Richard Sherman says he's going to apologize. So handshake gate, dap gate, whatever you want to call it, can disappear into the recesses of past NFL memory. Tonight, we got 2 Game 5s that are going on. The Braves are hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. I felt so bad this morning. My son, with mournful eyes, came to me and he said, "Dad, do you think the Braves are going to win Game 5? And you know what I did? I lied to him. I told him, yes, I think the Braves are going to win Game 5 because I was so afraid of breaking his heart before the game actually started that I told him, yes, the Braves are going to win Game 5. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to tell him before Game 5 even started, they're going to lose, kid, and just zap all of his excitement and all of his energy and all of his vim and vigor and vitality that he had this morning when he looked right at me and said, "Dad, we're going to watch Game 5 together tonight. As soon as I get home from school, it's on. Do you think the Braves are going to win?" And I lied to him, and I said yes. Like many parents have done in the past. He doesn't know the history of the Braves other than what I've told him, and I told him, yes, that it made sense. I also feel bad for him because he's been watching all the other baseball games. I remember being so confident, so happy, so full of life when I was him. I remember being so happy. Like, he's been watching all the other games. He's been like, oh, I want the Tampa Bay Rays to win this series against the Houston Astros, so when the Braves make it to the World Series, they won't have to play against the Astros. And he's like, I want the Nats to beat the Dodgers, so when the Braves go to the NLCS, they won't have to play against the Dodgers. He's such an optimistic little kid that he's already looking ahead to what the matchups might be and rooting for the best route to the championship for the Braves. And I don't want to break his little heart by telling him that it's unlikely that it's going to matter because the Braves are probably going to choke in Game 5 like they have choked for nearly 2 decades of baseball. We'll see, though. Braves going out. I actually did put a little bit of money on the Braves, so at least even though I don't really believe they're going to win, I at least lied about it. All right, Dodgers. Dodgers, meanwhile. The city of Los Angeles on pins and needles. They won 106 games in the regular season, and now it is all down to whether or not they can beat the Nats tonight to advance to the NLCS. After losing in the World Series the past couple of years, LA on pins and needles. If you're not familiar with how much the Dodgers love LA, you haven't spent very much time out there. They are the straw that stirs the drink in that city. People absolutely love the Dodgers. It unites everybody. And the Dodgers right now, man, they are in a rough spot. Not as rough of a spot as they've been in the past, but I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm betting on the Dodgers to get it done just because the Nationals never get anything done in the postseason either. But this has been an impressive performance. I asked you guys who should be the most nervous, which fan base is going to be the most nervous, Houston, Atlanta, or the Dodgers. And almost all of you, over 50% of you, said that the Braves fans should be the most nervous as they get ready for Game 5. So both those games are going on tonight. I'm going to be watching both of those as well, and I look forward to it. Again, fingers crossed that the Braves can get it done so my 9-year-old doesn't have to understand what it's like to be a Braves fan in the postseason this quickly. All right, finally, I want to close with this because then I got to go get ready for TV for Fox Sports 1. Lock it in, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 2:30 Mountain, 1:30 Pacific on FS1. James Franklin. I think maybe we can share this video. I know I've already shared it on social media. James Franklin did a great job responding to a budding and growing controversy surrounding a Penn State fan writing to a player about his personal appearance, asking about his hair, asking why he had tattoos. It was an uncomfortable letter from an old person to a young person that did have some racial connotations associated with it, even though they may not have been intentional by the letter writer. It's sometimes easy for those stories to become major controversies and for them to further inflame the tensions that exist across the country right now. James Franklin did a great job of addressing it all in 2 minutes which sums up so much of what I love about sports, essentially saying that a football locker room brings together everybody, black, white, brown, with hair, without hair, long hair, short hair, no hair, rural, city kids, rich kids, poor kids. Sports treats us all equally. And so I thought he did a phenomenal job addressing what could have been a powder keg of an issue, putting it to rest, and putting everybody on the same team. I thought it was fabulously well done. If you have not watched it, you should. I tweeted it out. If we shared this take on it, maybe we can piece in as well what James Franklin said as a part of that discussion. But I thought he did an incredibly good job. Incredibly good job talking about the ability of sports to unite us all, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, Independents, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever your background, we are all equal in fields of play. And I thought it was fantastically well done. All right. I love all of you. If you enjoy the show, share it with your friends. I'll be on television here in a little bit. Thanks again to Fox News for having me on earlier today. Hope to make that a somewhat regular event. And I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same bad channel. Also listen to the OutKick the Coverage podcast if you haven't already. It was great this morning. We had a couple of very good guests. We had Dan Wetzel on from Yahoo Sports, and we had Harry from the Against All Odds podcast with Oddshark. Love you. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. My name is Clay Travis. This has been OutKick, the show. Love you. Thank you, Facebook.